Before you scroll, before the next thought enters your mind, stay here with me. There is something the Buddha saw, something that can stop the storm inside your head, something that can silence the noise. That has been draining your energy and tightening your chest. Buddha said, "The mind creates more fear than reality ever can. The mind creates more suffering than life ever gives. The mind becomes its own prison. When we overthink, if your thoughts have been loud, if your nights have been restless, if your mind keeps replaying the same worries over and over, stay with me. Because what the Buddha taught can set you free. Overthinking is not intelligence. Overthinking is not wisdom. Overthinking is not awareness. It is the mind looping, spinning, repeating the same fear, the same story, the same possibility, the same pain. The Buddha called this Papancha, the mind's habit of creating endless mental proliferation. One thought becomes 10. 10 become 100. 100 become 1,000. Overthinking is the mind imagining danger, where there is none. Pain, where there is none. Loss, where there is none. The Buddha said, "The mind that is not trained runs like a wild monkey, jumping from branch to branch, from thought to thought, never resting, never breathing, never being here." When the mind becomes wild, suffering becomes loud, and most of our suffering does not come from life, but from the way we think about life. The mind overthinks because it wants control, because it fears uncertainty, because it tries to predict everything before it happens, so it can feel safe. But the Buddha said, trying to control the future is like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. The mind overthinks because it is afraid of losing, afraid of failing, afraid of being hurt, afraid of being alone, afraid of what might happen. Overthinking is a shield, a protection instinct, a desperate attempt to avoid pain. But in the process, it creates more pain than the pain we feared. In the Buddha's words, clinging leads to suffering, and overthinking is clinging to imagined outcomes. Overthinking creates suffering through 3 doors. The first door is the door of fear. The second door is the door of craving. The third door is the door of ignorance. Fear creates thoughts that are heavy. Craving creates thoughts that are endless. Ignorance creates thoughts that are confused. Fear says, "What if something goes wrong?" Craving says, "I must make this perfect." Ignorance says, "My thoughts are reality," but they are not. Just because the mind imagines danger does not mean danger exists. Just because the mind imagines rejection does not mean rejection is coming. Just because the mind imagines failure does not mean failure is waiting. Buddha said, "When the mind does not see clearly, it creates shadows and becomes afraid of its own shadows." Overthinking is living in shadows instead of light. The Buddha taught that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that sees your thoughts. Thoughts come and go, like clouds, like waves, like wind. But awareness is the sky, the ocean, the stillness beneath the movement. When you forget this, you drown in your thoughts. When you remember this, you rise above them. Overthinking feels powerful, but it is weak, because it cannot exist. When you become the observer, when you watch your thoughts, without fighting them, without engaging them, without chasing them, they lose their weight, they lose their force, they lose their ability to control you. Awareness is the antidote to overthinking, the most dangerous phrase in the overthinking mind is, what if? What if I fail? What if they leave? What if I am wrong? What if I never succeed? What if everything falls apart? The Buddha said, the future is a dream, not a truth. When the mind lives in what if, it cannot live in what is. And what is the only place peace exists. Overthinking pulls you into the future, but your breath is here. Your body is here. Your life is here. Your peace is here. Overthinking repeats because it is a habit, like walking a path you have walked for years. The mind chooses the familiar path, even when that path is painful. The Buddha said, what you think repeatedly, you become. If you repeat fear, fear becomes your path. If you repeat self-doubt, self-doubt becomes your path. If you repeat overthinking, overthinking becomes your home. But habits can change. Thoughts can shift. The path can be rewritten through mindfulness, through awareness, through training the mind to return to this moment. The cycle begins with a thought, a small thought, a simple thought. Then the mind adds a story, then another, and another, until the thought becomes a storm. The storm becomes suffering, and the suffering feels real. But the storm began with a single cloud. Buddha taught that suffering begins in the moment we begin to identify with the story the mind creates. You are not the story. You are not the fear. You are not the worry. You are not the thought. You are the awareness that sees the story, that sees the fear, that sees the thought. And in this seeing, suffering begins to end. When overthinking rises, do not fight it. Do not fear it. Do not judge it. Return. Return to your breath. Return to your body. Return to this moment. The Buddha taught, mindfulness is returning again and again and again. When the mind wanders into fear, return. When the mind imagines danger, return. When the mind creates stories, return. One breath can silence 1,000 thoughts. One moment of awareness can dissolve an entire storm. Return gently. Return without force. Return without anger. This is the training. This is the path. This is the freedom. The Buddha said, thoughts are like clouds. They appear. They move. They pass. You suffer. When you chase them, you suffer. When you hold, you suffer. When you believe them. But when you let them pass, they cannot harm you. Stand on the ground of awareness. Watch the cloud come. Watch the cloud go. With softness, with distance, with clarity. You are the sky, not the cloud. Your breath is the most powerful tool to stop overthinking, because the breath is always in the present, and overthinking always lives in the future. Breathe slowly. Breathe deeply. Breathe with awareness. Let the breath anchor you in this moment, where fear cannot survive, where stories lose power, where clarity naturally rises. The Buddha said, "When the breath is calm, the mind becomes clear. And when the mind is clear, suffering ends." Overthinking is not only mental, it is emotional. Your heart tightens, your stomach contracts, your chest becomes heavy, because the mind sends signals to the body to prepare for danger, even when danger does not exist. The Buddha taught, the body is the reflection of the mind. So when the mind softens, the body softens. When the mind becomes peaceful, the heart becomes peaceful. This is why mindfulness heals both mind and body. Overthinking ends. When wisdom grows, wisdom sees that thoughts are temporary. Wisdom sees that fear is imagined. Wisdom sees that control is impossible. Wisdom sees that the present is enough. Buddha said, suffering ends when we see clearly. When you see your thoughts clearly, they cannot dominate you. They cannot overwhelm you. They cannot imprison you. Clarity dissolves suffering, like sunlight dissolves darkness. The Buddha taught that letting go is the heart of freedom. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means giving space. Space for the mind. Space for the heart. Space for the truth. Let go of trying to control. Let go of trying to know. Let go of trying to predict. Let go of the imaginary storm. Let go and return to the stillness that has always been here. Within you, your mind is powerful. Your awareness is deeper. Your wisdom is older than your thoughts. You are not here to be trapped by your mind. You are here to awaken. Overthinking is a habit. With your nature, return to the breath. Return to the present. Return to the truth. And the suffering in your mind will dissolve. Like a shadow in the rising sun, may your mind become clear. May your thoughts become light. May your heart become soft. May the storms within you quiet. May wisdom guide your steps. May clarity open your path. May peace rise inside you, like a golden dawn. Within the sky of your mind,